something adorable, but he thinks that all three of us wearing a matching sweater might be a bit too much. And yeah, it probably is, but I kind of want to do it anyway. Here's another big, cozy, oversized, glorious, beautiful winter warm cuddle. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of A Girl in Sheep's Clothing. This is my podcast about knitting and also some other crafty things. I like to do crochet and sewing, and I'm studying textile design at uni. So I'm on uni break now, but when I go back there might be some content about that. But mostly it's about knitting. I'm pretty obsessed with knitting. I've been knitting for around 10 years now, and a lot, like almost every day. Well, yeah, I've been through some little patches of not knitting, but yeah, I've been knitting hard for the last 10 years. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Well, I'm Claire. I am a mum of a little 2-year-old boy. I live here in the Dandenong Ranges with my husband and our toddler and our cat. It's really beautiful up here. We live in a temperate rainforest, so we've just got gorgeous scenery around us. It takes me about an hour and a half to commute into the city, which I think would be annoying if I wasn't a knitter. So it's not so bad really. I really enjoy that knitting time when I go into school. Alright, well, I'll just jump into it. So I'll talk about my finished objects first. I'm going to follow like a standard format of a knitting podcast. I really love watching them. I think it's just so nice to sit and knit and listen to somebody else talking about knitting, especially because knitting takes such a long time. We have a lot of time where we're just sitting there, and it's nice to watch something that's related to knitting. I love all of the knitting podcasts that talk about what they're working on, what they plan on knitting in the future, different yarns and fibres, and just, yeah, someone that's just a nice presence while you're sitting and knitting. So I'll start by talking about what I'm wearing. This is the Stockholm Sweater by Petiteknit. It's a beautiful, cozy, oversized drop shoulder sweater, and it has a really nice construction where you work from the top down seamlessly, and there's some shoulder shaping to create nice sloped shoulders. It starts out being knit flat until you get to this point for under the sleeve, and then you join in the round and work the rest of the body in the round. The sleeves are picked up and knit, and there are also some short rows in the sleeve. And then once you've finished that, you pick up for the collar and you knit this folded over neckband. I've knit it in a really absolutely beautiful yarn. It's the Great Ocean Road Woollen Mills La Bella in the cream colourway. This is a woolen mill that started out on the Great Ocean Road in Victoria, and I believe they've just moved recently up near Ballarat, but it's processed in Australia. The animals come from the farm on the Great Ocean Road. This is a mix of alpaca and wool, and it's just absolutely beautiful. One of the things I love the most about this yarn is that it's a local to me yarn, and it's sustainably farmed and processed. It doesn't have any treatments done to it, so no superwashing, and it is so soft. It's because it's so minimally processed, it's got a little bit of vegetable matter still in the fibres, and it can be a little bit annoying as you're knitting with it to pull them out, but I think it's worth it. And I've knit it together with a strand of Silk Mohair by Isegar. It's 75% mohair and 25% silk, and it's in the colour E0. The colour for this one is just called cream or creme, but the colours for this vary all the time. That's another interesting thing about this yarn, is because it's undyed. It just is the colour of the alpacas and the wool that they use for it. So yeah, you've got to make sure you get enough for the project you're working on, otherwise you might have a colour difference. But yeah, I highly recommend this yarn. And this one. This is my absolute favourite Silk Mohair. It's just so soft, not itchy at all. Yeah, so I'll talk about the pattern. It's a drop shoulder, and it's oversized, super cozy. It's I knit it to pattern, but I changed the neck, the ribbing. So it's supposed to be a 1x1 ribbing, but I just did it as a 2x2, and I think I did it a little bit longer. I just really like the way a 2x2 rib looks. It's just so squishy and neat. I think it's easier to do a 2x2 rib neater than a 1x1. And I'll show you that in my next finished object, because it's actually the same sweater in the same yarn in a different colour. So here is another Stockholm Sweater by Petiteknit. This one I actually knit first, and I loved it so much that I just had to, I actually ordered the yarn for this one before I'd even finished knitting this one, because I just had such a good experience knitting it, the pattern and the yarn. So this is the same yarns in different colours. So the base yarn for, the wool alpaca yarn, that's the same as this one, is like a grey, a mottled grey and white coloured yarn, and the blue is coming from a blue strand of Silk Mohair, also by Isegar. So I think it creates such a beautiful colour. The grey and the blue together creates this like stormy grey blue, which is one of my absolute favourite colours. So cozy. Yeah, so this one I've knit with the same as the pattern, but with a 1x1 rib, and I've put an elastic in, but it's still a little bit sort of bunched up around the neck. I'm considering ripping out the collar and doing it again. It looks better when it's on. It sits pretty well around the neck, like it's not obvious to anyone except for me, but it's just a little bit bulgy around here, so I may rip it out. But it's okay, because this was knit, the neckline so the way you work this is you pick the stitches up and knit the neckband at the end of the project, so it would be really easy for me to just undo this neckline and neckband and do it again. there's another thing that I need to fix about this sweater. So this yarn, I'd had it in my stash for quite some time, I think about 2 years or something, the Great Ocean Road wool anyway, and I have all of my yarn in one spot. I'd caked up one ball of it ages ago to swatch or do something with, and then never actually used it. So it wasn't with the other skeins, and I didn't know where it was. I thought I'd lost it, and I got to the end of almost the end of the sweater and didn't have enough, so I needed to order another one. But like I was saying before, the colours are never exactly the same, so the new one that came in the mail was a slightly lighter grey, and you can see that in here. It's not super obvious, but you can see it. I did do a bit of blending, like for about 10 rows I alternated skeins so that it was hopefully not as obvious, but yeah, you can see it. Then I found the other bowl after I'd already done this, ordered it, knitted up, and then I found the other bowl. So it's so silly. Anyway, because the other one is the same colour as the rest, I think I'm gonna unpick just rip back to here and do it with the other ball. So while I'm doing that, I might as well fix the neckline too. But yeah, so when I ordered that other ball skein from Great Ocean Road, I was on the website and that's where I saw this one, and I thought, yeah, maybe while I'm making an order from them, I might as well get some more yarn. And then yeah, that came, and I whipped this one up so quickly. Like I think I knit this one and this one within maybe 3 weeks while I was at school. So I was knitting it on the train on the way there, and yeah, just in the evenings while I was watching TV, because it's just one of those really beautiful mindless projects that I just love the most. Just a sea of stockinette. I know that some people find that boring, but that's actually my absolute favourite knitting. I mean, I do like to have a project that's a bit more involved so that I can focus and get excited and try new things, but I also always love to have something like this on my needles. So yeah, so I've got the two different kinds of projects that require different headspaces, and you'll see that when I get up to my works in progress. Yeah, so is there anything else to say about these? I'll leave all of the details for the yarn and the sizing and everything in my Ravelry, so I'll link that in the description so that you can see, yeah, if you want to look at those yarns. Okay, well, the next one, oh, hang on, let me have a little bit of coffee. Okay, so the next project is actually another Petiteknit pattern. I've been on a little bit of a Petiteknit kick lately because I really felt like there was this gap in my wardrobe of just staples or basics. I often love to knit things that are new and interesting, and I love a good colourwork project. But I noticed that I didn't really have many sweaters that were just like an everyday wear kind of thing, where you don't want to be rocking feral or, you know, something that's so obviously hand knit. I kind of like having these kind of sweaters that just blend in a little bit for just every day, and really cozy and warm and big and oversized. So this one is the Scotty Sweater by Petiteknit, but the pattern has a like a faux plaid kind of embroidered onto it, and I haven't done that yet. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do it. I mean, I absolutely love the way it looks. It's so cool. But once I'd finished knitting this, I just really loved having a big greyish black jumper, and because I didn't have anything else like this in my wardrobe, and I started wearing it and thought, I kind of want to keep it this way. So I might still do the embroidery at some point, but maybe once I've made something else to replace this one, just something plain. Not the most interesting colour to knit, but such a good colour of sweater to have in your wardrobe. This is a top-down set-in sleeve construction. So you start at the shoulders, there's some short rows worked, and then you shape, or you knit the back first, and then you knit the front, and you shape the neckline and the armhole as you go down, and then you join to work in the round and work the rest of the body in the round down, and then you pick up the sleeves around the armhole and you knit back and forth in short rows to create a sleeve cap, and then you join in the round and knit the rest of the sleeve as a tube. So I changed the sleeve a little bit on this. The pattern has a kind of balloon sleeve, but I made mine a straight sleeve. It still has a little bit of that balloon effect at the bottom, but not quite as much. I just wanted a bit more of a subtle balloon sleeve. I absolutely love this construction of sweater. I think it's just really nice fitting, and I do enjoy knitting it as well. Yeah, I like a good cap sleeve or set-in sleeve with short rows. The yarn I used for this one is actually a Norwegian yarn. It's Hillesvag Ask, and it's in this beautiful charcoal grey colour. So this is a Norwegian white sheep wool, and it's really rustic, but it's not that itchy to me anyway. I have fairly sensitive skin, but there are some rustic wools that I can tolerate and that I enjoy wearing. This is one of them. It has that toothiness and it's a dream to work with. It has all those wonderful qualities of wool, like it's really, really woolly, but it's not as itchy as, say, like Lopi or even some of the other Hillesvag yarn. There's another one that's the wild sheep, and I love that one too, but it's a bit more prickly and I wouldn't wear that against my skin, whereas I would wear this against skin. And don't get me wrong, you notice it, like if you're really sensitive you wouldn't like it. My husband hates it, he's just super sensitive, but I love it. And it's knit together with a strand of silk mohair as well. So same again, Isegar Silk Mohair, my favourite silk mohair. So these two together have created the warmest fabric in existence. Not really, but for a relatively thin sweater, like it's a 4-ply fingering weight yarn held together with a lace weight mohair, creating equivalent to a DK weight. For a DK weight sweater, it is so warm. Like I can wear this without a jacket on like the coldest day you can get in Melbourne, and I'll be warm. So I love it. I love this sweater. Yeah, there's something about these rustic yarns that just really appeal to me. They're so real, and when I first started knitting, I wasn't so into typically scratchy or rustic yarn, but as I've been knitting more, I've learned more about wool, and then become, I guess, a bit romanced or wooed by the more rustic yarns. And I think that happens to a lot of knitters. You start out with all of those really soft, like superwash wool, and the softest of soft, and anything itchy feels like it's lower quality or not as good. And then I don't know if this happens to everyone, but I think a lot of people, you start to learn about wool and its qualities, and then you fall in love. And I don't know if I've gotten more tolerant of itch by wearing it more, or if I'm just so in love with the wool that I don't notice it. Like when you fall in love with a person and you don't notice all the annoying things about them anymore. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, well, I'll move on to my next finished object. So, because this is my first episode, I'm just doing things that I've knit in the last few months, or I'll say like the last 3 months or something, for my finished objects, because otherwise I don't know what I would include. Like I've actually knit a lot of sweaters. I don't even know how many. At least 20, maybe 30, I don't know. Maybe I'll do an episode on every sweater I've ever knit. Well, I love those roundup videos. Yeah, maybe I will do one of those. Okay, anyway, I'll move on to the next one. The next one, do this one first. Actually, something I knit for my husband. This enormous 4-ply fingering weight Shetland wool cardigan. So all you knitters out there are gonna know how much I must love my husband, because this thing it's huge and it's all in like a grayish black charcoal color yarn, so so much stockinette, and this beautiful big yoke. He's about the same size as me, just a little bit bigger, but he really enjoys wearing really oversized, slouchy, comfy sweaters, and because this is Shetland wool, it's a little bit itchy for him, so he has to wear something underneath it. That's also why I did quite a big wide neckline, so it wouldn't itch him on the neck. But this pattern is the Porty Cardigan by Gudrun Johnston. I love it. It's these colours I did for him. Like, he loves purple and green, and yeah, he wanted it to be black. For actually probably about 5 years, he'd been asking me for a black cardigan. Not even a sweater, a cardigan. So I have to knit back and forth. Well, I would have had to knit back and forth if it wasn't steeked. So yeah, this one is actually knit in the round and steeked. My workaround for making him a cardigan, because Like, I'm not the biggest hater of purling, but for something this size it would have taken just too long, I'd say. But yeah, so this pattern is fantastic. I'll just hold it for a minute still to show you. I knit this while I was watching Shetland, the crime drama set in Shetland, and it was just so nice to be looking at the scenery of Shetland and dreaming about one day going there and walking around in the crofts and looking out over the seas while knitting this in Shetland wool. The wool is Jamieson and Smith, this classic Shetland wool from the Shetland Islands, and it has the best colour palette ever. It's 2-ply, jumper weight, 100% real Shetland wool, 25 grams, 115 meters. 4-ply, well, it's not a 4-ply, but it's a 4-ply weight, so a fingering weight, but it's a 2-ply. And this is very similar to the Hillesvag yarn. It's really rustic, but I think maybe it's a bit softer than the Hillesvag, especially once you wash it. Oh, it's just beautiful. It blooms. I've got all of the details for this, the colours and some more info on my Ravelry, so if you want to know what colours I've used and how much yarn I've used, you can, I think that info's on there anyway. You can have a look at my Ravelry. I'll link it in the description. I think anyway, seeing as this is my first episode, we'll see. But yeah, I'll do my best. And okay, so get ready for something adorable. The next one is a mini version of the same cardigan. So this I knit for my 2-year-old boy. The pattern for this came out while I was knitting this one. So actually the test knit, there was a call for a test. As I was almost about to finish this one, a testing call came out for a baby version, and I was just like, okay, well, I have to do it now so that they can have little father and son matching cardigans. So I applied and I got in for the test, and I love it. It's just adorable. I don't really do many test knits. I've only done a couple actually, but this one was just like meant to be. So I've been wanting to make one of these for myself before I even knit this one or this one, and then yeah, Tim loved this, so I thought, yeah, okay, I'll make it for him, because I'd started knitting it for myself and he saw it and he was interested. So I decided to make it in a size bigger and make it for him. And then yeah, this one came up and now I still don't have one, but Tim doesn't want us to wear a family of matching sweaters. I don't know why. I think it's adorable. But he's happy to wear matching sweaters with our son, but he thinks that all 3 of us wearing a matching sweater might be a bit too much. And yeah, it probably is, but I kind of want to do it anyway because I just want one. Like, I can't be the only one in the family that doesn't have one of these. Come on, guys. What do you think? Should I make myself one, and should we all wear them at the same time, or is that over the top? Alright, so my first work in progress is another Petiteknit pattern. Like I said, I'm on a bit of a kick for Petiteknit at the moment. It is a summer t-shirt because in Australia we're going into summer, so it's spring here, but you know, the weather hasn't really been that nice yet. But in anticipation for nicer weather, I thought I need to knit myself something summery. So this is the Friday Tee by Petiteknit, and it's knit in 100% cotton by Hobbi. So it's this rainbow cotton. They have an absolutely huge colour range, and it's really inexpensive and it's really nice. So it's soft and just beautiful. I've been knitting a lot in it, and I kind of went overboard buying from them. I hadn't bought from this brand before. They're overseas, I think in Denmark. Yeah, designed in Denmark, made with love in India. So because I was buying something from so far away, I thought I'll do a really big order so that I can this is how I justified it anyway. I thought I'll do a large order so that I can save on shipping, because it's free shipping if you order over a certain amount, and then also I won't be inclined to order again and spend more carbon miles and all that. That's such a justification. I know it is. Yeah, so it's in these two colours. Colour 3, which is this beautiful beigey, kind of warm toned beige that I think looks pretty good with my skin tone. And this colour number 88, which I love as well. It's like a caramel colour. I think the colour might have been called nougat or something. I don't know. I'll link it down below. But yeah, I love these two together, and I absolutely love this stitch pattern. It's a broken rib, and I think when you're knitting with cotton, it can be kind of hard to get nice tension. Well, yeah, it's less forgiving than wool, and you can, if you're just knitting in stockinette, you can see like every little change in tension. But having a all over pattern like this, I think makes it more forgiving, and you don't really see that. So when I hadn't really done much knitting with cotton before, and I've been knitting for quite a while now, and I'd always sort of avoided it because of those reasons, and also I love the squishy warmth of winter knits, and I hadn't really gotten much into summer knitting, or I'd just knit winter things in summer as well. But yeah, I got inspired to do something cotton, and I love it. I started out doing it with my normal metal needles. I use Higher or Chalgu, and I was having a bit of trouble with it, and then I'd heard someone on a podcast say that wood needles can be better for knitting cotton. So I bought some wood needles, some Chalgu bamboo needles, and it made such a big difference and turned out really well. So thank you for that tip. I forget who from. So this I've knit cropped length, or you know, a mid, just below the waist length, and I'm going to do the sleeves about halfway down the forearm, no, this part of the arm to about there, I think. So that'll be a nice summer tee. I really love the way this is knit in the round and with the short row shaping at the back. It's just such a a simple way to knit a garment. Yeah, I don't mind doing short rows, and so this is a doubled over collar, and you pick up and knit the stitches together, and then you continue down. So I really like the way this has this raglan with all these stitches in the raglan. I think that's a really nice detail. Alright, so my next work in progress is another cozy winter sweater. This one, well, this is another Petiteknit pattern. It's the Monday sweater. So this is another big, cozy, oversized, glorious, beautiful winter warm cuddle. This one has a raglan, and I've modified it slightly from the pattern. I've changed it to a 2x2 rib for the neckline again, and I also changed the raglan stitches to be just 2 in the center of the increases, because I just wanted it to line up with the rib. And other than that, no modifications. I've knit this in an absolutely beautiful, luxurious yarn, knitting for Olive, the merino and the silk mohair. So these are in the colour soft blue, and the merino is 100% extra fine merino. It's non-treated, so non-superwash, and it says it's traceable, non-mulesed, architects standard, so like they've got a good focus on sustainability. And even though I shipped it across the world, it's a which takes away a bit from its sustainability for me, but I do like to shop from companies that are responsible like that. So yeah, this is a popular yarn. If you've probably heard of it before, or if you haven't, I really highly recommend looking at it, because they have the best color range. So many colors, and they're just beautiful shades. This is one of my favorite colors, this stormy blue, like you've probably noticed from my other knits. But yeah, so gorgeous. And it's really great that they have the merino and the silk mohair that match perfectly. So in all of their colors, they've got the two for combining. And if I can't get the color I need out of the Isegar, which is my favorite, this would be my next favorite in silk mohair, because it's really soft, not itchy. It's not quite as lustrous as the Isegar. It's a bit more fuzzy and less silky, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's a bit expensive. It's on the pricey end, but so is this one. So yeah, but I think worth it. Anyway, yeah, so oops. So on this one, I have finished the body and one sleeve, and I'm up to the next sleeve. And this is just going so quickly, like almost too quickly. I just love knitting it. So and I've been knitting a lot of 4-ply fingering weight stuff, and so this one just feels like it's going extra fast because it's a bit heavier weight or bigger gauge. So it feels like it's just flying off my needles. But I don't really know if I want to finish knitting it, because I don't have any other cozy, fuzzy projects on the go. But it will be nice to wear it, and hopefully I can get some wear in of this before we head into summer. I mean, if the weather keeps being the way it is, I'm sure I will. Yeah, so the Monday sweater, beautiful pattern, as all Petiteknit patterns are, really well written, really easy to follow, and I do really love knitting a raglan. I think it's just such a simple construction and really easy to remember where you're at, especially if it's one like this with every second row doing the increase. So you have a rest row, then you do the raglan increases on the next row. It's just nice and meditative. Even the yoke is easy. So really the only part you really have to concentrate on for this, something like this, is the short rows and the I guess, yeah, the neck and the short rows, and then the rest is just smooth sailing. So the next thing I'm going to show you is another work in progress. This one I started just a week ago, and I've absolutely flown through it because I had a few sick days just with a cold, but I didn't really feel like doing anything except for knitting, so I just sat on the couch and watched knitting podcasts and knit this. So this is the I've got it written down here. This is Beauty School by Poison Grrls. It's a top-down seamless set-in sleeve pullover. So I've knit up to about waist, my waist, because this is actually knit in reclaimed yarn, and I don't know how much I have, so I thought I'll knit to about, you know, a crop length, and then I will see how much I have after I do the arms, and then I'll decide how long to do it. But I'm loving this pattern. It's really well written as well, and I love this construction method too. The start of it takes a while because you're knitting back and forth when you're doing the front and the back before you join in the round, so it's a fair bit of stockinette in a 4-ply weight flat. But then once you get to the underarm and split for the, join for the underarm, it's in the round, so that's nice. But I'll show you the yarn that I'm using. A bit odd. I'll take it out of the bag and show you. So this is 2 strands held together of 2 unravelled sweaters from the op shop. My mother-in-law found these who knows how long ago. She has an amazing collection of reclaimed yarn. It's one of her favourite hobbies, is to collect old unloved sweaters made of really nice fibres, unravel them, and then sometimes knit them into new things, or sometimes keep them for a very long time until your daughter-in-law steals them from you. So this is 1 strand of wool cashmere from a women's sweater from David Jones. She also keeps the little tags so that she knows what the fibre content is. And this strand is a cotton cashmere from a men's sweater from Rod and Gun. So these 2 unloved sweaters from the op shop, we call thrift shops op shops in Australia, if you're wondering what I'm talking about. Yeah, so these 2 unloved sweaters from the op shop are turning into one new absolutely loved sweater for me. And this fabric is just absolutely beautiful. It's you know, I do like to spend a lot of money on yarn sometimes, but I've never bought cashmere. I don't know if I'm quite bougie enough for cashmere, but if I get it from a reclaimed sweater, then I can use cashmere for the low price of nothing at all. Well, I'm sure it cost her a few dollars, but yeah, I don't know how much it would have cost her, maybe a few dollars for each sweater, but it's just really special. It's so nice, so soft, and it's got a bit of wool in it, so it has that woolly quality, like it's a really soft wool, and it feels like a merino or something soft, with a bit of cotton and cashmere. It's just luxurious, and the colour is gorgeous. I'm really into blues at the moment, and yeah, so tell you a bit more about this sweater. So Poison Grrls, they have these vintage inspired sweaters, so it's like the shape of a 40s or 50s sweater, but it's got modern construction, so instead of being knit flat and seamed, it's knit seamlessly from the top down. And then, like with the other set-in sleeve sweater I showed you, the sleeve caps will be picked up and worked back and forth with short rows, and then joined in the round and knit. I'll knit it on sleeve needles or sock needles, you know, the little short ones. That's my favourite way to knit sleeves, just because the knitting doesn't get interrupted by a magic loop cord or DPNs. When I first started using them, my hands felt a little cramped. I think a lot of people complain about that, like it feels weird to be using such a short needle, but I just got used to it, and now I haven't looked back. Yeah, so that's my beauty school by Poison Grrls. And I think that's enough for today. They're all my whips that I'm actively working on. I do have a few more which are kind of just languishing, and I might show you those in another video. I think that's probably enough for my first episode. What else was I going to talk about? Yeah, so the next thing I was going to talk about is what's next for my knitting. The next thing I want to show you is this beautiful avocado dyed yarn. So this yarn I dyed naturally with avocado pits and skins. So I've been collecting them for quite a while and asked some family members to collect them for me as well, and I had lots. And then I did a huge batch of beautiful superwash merino. So because this is superwash, it takes the colour really well. This one came out a really nice, beautiful, deep, pinky, browny, dusty pink. And then this one was the next pot. I mean the next dye batch in the same pot, so you can sort of see the difference. There's still quite a lot of colour in that one as well. But, I dyed 4 skeins of this and another 4 of this, and then I did some 100% silk, which came out so beautifully, so lustrous, and I'm thinking of knitting a camisole in this. yeah, I also did some non-superwash merino, which I don't have here, but it came out as some similar colour to this silk, like a bit of a lighter pink. Oh, actually, I have it just behind me. Here. So this is the non-superwash merino, and you can see the difference between the two. And I actually did this one first, even in the same pot before I did this. So that's how much more the superwash merino takes the colour. I've done a lot of dyeing in the past. I used to have a small business hand dyeing yarn called We Love Knitting. You can have a look at that on Instagram. I'll put the link below if you like. I haven't been doing it for quite some time now because I took time off when I had my baby, and then I decided to go back to school instead of going back to the business. Yeah, I'll probably tell you more about that in another episode. And I love natural dyeing. There's something really beautiful about the colours of nature, and I love their subtlety, and I'm enjoying it so much. There's a lot to learn, but I'm only doing it for my own personal use. I'm not selling it. I sound like a drug dealer. I'm only doing it for experimenting and my own stash. I'm not selling it, but I've got a lot of natural dye stuff that I've been working towards for a long time now. I've been growing some eucalyptus trees, Eucalyptus cinerea, which makes a really beautiful red or deep reddish brown, and I've been growing Australian native indigo, Indigo ferus australis, to make a indigo vat out of, but I haven't actually made a vat yet. I've just been growing my indigo to the point where I can harvest it, and you know, the plants still have enough foliage to keep on going. But the native indigo actually grows really well where I live in the Dandenong Ranges. It's native to this area, so it grows great here in our soil and our environment. And I've been harvesting the seeds every time it goes to seed. I harvest the seeds, and I've been propagating them and growing them all over our property. And I've also harvested some seeds from other places as well to encourage a bit more genetic diversity in my little family of indigo. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to dyeing with that in the not too distant future. But back to my avocado dye. I've knit up some little swatches. This is just a swatch of stockinette, and then because I really love the broken rib stitch that I've been knitting on my Friday tee, I thought I'll try that out in this, and I love the way that looks too. I'm thinking of knitting out of the silk. I want to knit a camisole, like maybe my favourite things knitwear camisole number 5, or another one. I've never knit a camisole before, and I think it would be really nice. I see a lot of YouTubers making them, and it's never really been something that appealed to me. But now I'm getting to the point where I've got probably enough sweaters. So trying to branch out a little bit in my knitting, and I think it would be really nice to have a silk camisole. I think that sounds like something a fancy lady would have. That could be me. Okay, so what else am I thinking of knitting soon? Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing some more vintage knits or vintage inspired knits, like the Poison Grrls beauty school. because I love that silhouette too, like a bit more fitted, and I think it really suits my body shape, especially to wear cropped with dresses. And I don't really have anything like that in my wardrobe at the moment in the size that I am now. I have that's sort of the silhouette I liked to knit a lot when I first started knitting sweaters. So I have some, but they're too small. So I think I need some more. And I've my mother-in-law has also collected a lot of vintage patterns from the op shop over the last, probably 30 years, maybe more. She's a really keen op shopper and a really keen knitter, and so she has an amazing collection of vintage knitting books and patterns, and she had all these doubles, and so she asked if I wanted them, and of course I had to. So I've got quite a few myself now, and I occasionally go up shopping and find some, and yeah, there's something really beautiful about old, like 40s and 50s knitting, I think. I am considering knitting some in the style that they used to do, like flat and seamed, just because I'm also learning to appreciate the seam and the structural integrity that it adds to a garment, and just learning a bit more about knitting in the process. Seaming is something that I used to avoid at all costs when I first started, and now I'm a lot more comfortable with it. I think really learning how to do mattress stitch properly was a game changer, and now I like it because it's satisfying, sort of pulling the stitches together and seeing them zip closed and make a perfect seam. There's something really satisfying about that, and I do enjoy it, but I don't necessarily enjoy knitting flat as much as I do round, so we'll see. I'll either knit some authentic 40s and 50s knits, or maybe I'll just do inspired by and knit seamlessly from the top down in the same silhouette and style. But yeah, that's something on the cards. We'll see if it happens anytime soon. I usually just go with my inspiration, whatever hits me at the time, and I get excited by, and then I'll just cast it on. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for joining me. I don't know how you found me here, being my very first episode, and but I really appreciate it, and hopefully I'll get a little bit better at filming and more comfortable in front of the camera as I go. I have done some filming stuff in the past, but ages ago, so to get my confidence back, and yeah, I just really hope that this can be a nice, relaxing podcast that you can listen to while you're knitting. Maybe you've got a cup of tea and you're working on your project and you just want something about knitting to watch and relax with. That's the goal I'm going. That's my goal for this podcast. And yeah, as I go back to uni at the start of next year, I'll probably share some of my textile design studies. I really enjoy watching that kind of content on YouTube as well. As an aspiring textile designer, I love seeing what kind of things people are doing when they're studying or working as a textile designer. That's my goal in life, is to work from home doing something to do with textiles. I'm absolutely obsessed with textiles, knitting, sewing, everything textiles, learning about textiles. I don't know how I got here, but it's been a slow burn over the last 10 years, but here I am now, absolutely obsessed. So okay, thank you so much for joining me. I don't know when my next one will be. I'll wait until I've made some more progress on those whips and I've got some new things on the needles to show you. And I'll probably have some new finished objects in the next episode. I tend to knit a lot and quite quickly, so I at least have a lot of content to film. I'll see you next time.